Okay, we are live coming to you from beautiful downtown southern sunny California. Oh, no. It's telling me to rotate the device. We're going to see how this live streams like this anyway. All right. Now, see, we got one in the chat. I cannot see the chat at this moment. I won't be able to see the chat for a few minutes anyways. All right. We're going to be watching this video under the Fair Use Act. The Fair Use Act. So there's no infringements. All right. Now it's going to be, there will be this gentleman here speaking to the House about gun control. All right. But I'm trying to wait and see how many more people are going to show up. Can you make a comment in the chat? So I know who's here. Make a comment. Now I can't see who's here. Well, thank you for being. I can't see who's in here. I'm sorry. The lighting is not that great. Okay. So here in just a minute, we're going to be going over this. And I'm going to announce, thanks for being here. I can't quite make out the name at the moment. I'm so sorry. Okay. So we're going to go over the list of insane friends and their channels. And then we'll get into this video where the guy's speaking to the House, the government. I'm not sure if it's the Senate or Congress. I'm not quite sure what group he's speaking with. But anyways, first, we're going to go over the calendar for the Insane Friends. And excuse I'm not pronouncing some of these other channels by their properly. All right, but we have Sane Auto, Sunday, 7:30 p.m. That is Central Eastern Time. Okay, then we have 9 p.m. Gregory Salvadori. Then we have, that's Sunday, 9 p.m. Then we have Monday, Eddard Adventures, 9 p.m. We have St. Otto, 7:30 p.m. Tuesday, we have Bubba's Fiction, 9 p.m. We have Wednesday, St. Otto, 7:30. Thursday, we have Dorito and the Luce Card, 9:30. That's Eastern Central Time. Then you have Easy to Tips and Tricks, etc., or ECT, etc., abbreviation thereof. Okay, then we have Friday. We have Horse Shop 1 at 8:30. And then we have, Horse Shop at 8:30 on Friday. Saturday, we have Chopper's Rule, 6:30. And then on March 6th, we're going to have a newcomer that is a incredible channel. They're landing on their feet running here on YouTube. They've got awesome content, a wealth of information, some excellent car shows where they are bidding. They just did a car show where they were bidding on a Ferrari, $3,100,000 for this Ferrari. I think there was only like 3 made in the world, I believe. It would be nice to be able to throw around $3 million on a car. So congrats to the people able to do that. But anyways, that is, I just said them. I just went brain dead. This is bad form. Mopar. Here on Insane Friends, they'll be coming on at March 6th. And that will be, I forget what time. I don't have enough information. Anyways, Muscle Car Appraisal. Muscle Car Appraisal. They're the channel I'm talking about that I just blew big time. Okay, so that's coming up at March 6th. Get a hold of Victor, Insane Friends, Sane Auto, and ask him when Muscle Car Appraisal, what time he's going to be showing and coming live, doing his debut here on Insane Friends. I forget the time, but that'll be on March 6th. So with no further ado, let's get into this. This is really good, and we need to hold our government accountable to our Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and it's something we need to know and understand. And we need to take the due diligence to take the time to read it, know it, take some classes on it. There's free classes around, depending on where you're at, and really get familiar with this. We perish for a lack of knowledge, big time. All right, so let's get into this. All right, here we go. No further ado. Not now, but right now. Here we go.
Good evening, representatives, and thank you again for your time today. Good morning, right? The United States of America, above all else, is a constitutional
This is
republic.
under the Free
Yes, we have a
Fair
democracy
Act.
in which we get to vote for our elected officials, but our elected officials, you, above all
Free
else, are limited in
Fair
your
Act.
power and in the legislation that you pass by the Constitution of the United States, a document on which you
Free
raised
Use
your right
Act.
hand to God and swore an oath to, a document whose premise is regularly under attack. Unfortunately, it's being attacked by the very people who are sworn to abide by it, our government. And it's our own faults that the Constitution is under duress. We, the American people, who are supposed to have control of our government, have been asleep at the wheel and all too trusting, while you, our legislators, senators, representatives,
I'll get to the comments afterwards.
backgrounds, have run amok, unabashedly using your power and influence to limit the freedoms and liberties of the individual. Americans love to proclaim that we are a free people, yet have lost sight of what it means to be free, and in saying so are lying to ourselves. Yes, we are fortunate enough to have freedoms that others in the world do not, but we are no longer free as our founders had intended us to be. Yet those very founders had foreseen
Thank
how
you for
even
your
in America,
comments.
a runaway government could become problematic, and they added a constitution to an amendment to the Constitution, a failsafe, so to speak, that would protect us against the rampant abuse of power by our government, an inalienable constitutional right to keep and bear arms. The founders saw this as so important and necessary, it was the Second Amendment to our Constitution,
Thank you for
directly
being here.
following the right to free speech, which I'm fortunate enough to benefit from here today. The founders of this great land knew, having just won a war for their freedom against an unjust power, that given enough time, all governments have a propensity to become too powerful, and as a direct result, the freedom of its constituents falters. This was their reasoning behind their inclusion of the right to keep and bear arms within the Constitution. They even went so far as to include, even though it's already implied, the phrase, shall not be infringed.
Yeah.
This does not mean that you, regardless of how many people call on you to do so, can limit the type or capacity of the firearms that we, as free Americans, can own. Don't forget that at the time of this country's founding, Americans had access legally to the same type of weaponry that the military had.
That's right.
And that was the point. It was for our protection against the state. That's how we can keep them in check. I think if we look at the tremendous amount of overreach practiced today by the United States government, it's pretty apparent why those at the very top want to take away this means of protection that our forefathers entrusted to us. They've realized that we Americans who hold our liberties dear are fed up. We are tired of being overregulated. We're tired of being taxed until we're near penniless. We're tired of our money going to a Federal Reserve to pay an unsustainable debt that we have to international banksters who couldn't care less about America. We're tired of having to ask for government's permission and licensure to do things that are within our God-given rights as free people to do. We're tired of seeing state-run programs being ran inefficiently, ineffectively, and wastefully. We're tired of news outlets, Hollywood, social media, and the education system being used as propaganda to indoctrinate the populace and advance the state's agenda. We're tired of being lied to. We're tired of going to war under false pretenses. To summarize, we're tired of our uncontrollable government. While we feel our voices have fallen on deaf ears to our politicians, make no mistake that amongst the citizenry, there is a quiet storm brewing. We are approaching a tipping point, and you'd be remiss to think that those at the top of the power structure aren't shaken by this. It doesn't take much critical thought to surmise why they're trying so hard to pass legislation against privately owned munitions. And to those who support this legislation, it's my understanding that you believe by being here, you're advocating against violence. On the contrary, you're advocating for violence. If the state decides to make 10-round magazines and assault weapons, which by the way is an incredibly vague, ambiguous term that I don't think anybody could really define, if you decide to make them illegal, are you advocating that the state use violence or threats of violence to disarm innocent Americans? Because it certainly sounds like it. You can't sincerely believe that we're just going to forfeit our right to self-defense, knowing the purpose of this right and understanding the unlawfulness of civil asset forfeiture, notwithstanding the money people have spent on their guns. What happens when we defy these laws? Are you advocating that men with guns come to take away our guns? Because it sure sounds like it. Also, it needs to be said that I'm sure some of those on the other side have used the words Trump and Hitler in the same sentence, yet advocate that the state, with someone who they refer to as a fascist dictator at the forefront, be the only entity allowed to have guns. You see where I'm going with this? These people are hypocrites, and they should think for themselves instead of thinking what they're told to think. And before you quip that I'm here on behalf of the NRA or that I have some sort of ulterior motive, I am not, and I do not. I am not an NRA member. In fact, I believe that the NRA is far too willing to compromise on some gun laws as they know they will take on more donors and make more money whenever there is conflict. So the more they compromise, the more gun laws get introduced and the more money they make. So no, before anybody says so, I'm not NRA, and I'm also not what you might call a gun nut. I own but a pistol for personal protection and a rifle which I've literally just acquired as a direct result of this law being written. I'm not a sportsman and I'm not a collector. I'm just someone with an understanding of history who by virtue does not trust his government. And I know what some of you may be thinking, that I'm some sort of extremist. My delivery is very abrasive. Some of you aren't thinking at all because you tuned me out at the start once you heard my position, and that's fine. If these generalizations apply to you, I ask you to please familiarize yourself with the history of America and the Constitution as it was written. Ladies and gentlemen, America was conceived out of defiance, and we not only have a constitutional right as free Americans, but also an inalienable right as human beings to defy any and all laws that are unjust. Lest we not forget that a mere 3% of colonists sparked the American Revolution. There are millions of libertarians paying attention to what is being discussed today. Representatives, it is a sure bet that if the government you represent continues on this path of tyranny, we will not comply. I ask you to please remember the basis on which this country came to be before you decide to pass any more overreaching legislation, especially in regards to firearms. For those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a mouthful, and I couldn't have said it better myself. I wish I could say it word for word the way he just did. I mean, that was amazing and very well. I believe that he just spoke the heart of most of us Americans. I believe that he spoke the heart of most of us Americans. You know, I got a BB gun. But point being is, we have a God-given right. And by not knowing our Constitution, by not knowing, being familiar with any of it, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, it's something they're not even teaching in our schools in general anymore. You know, they're dumbing down our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. And they're out to control, rule. You know, how long before we're a communist China? How long? You know, they want to turn us into a third world country. We have these globalists, and you know, it's deceiving and deceptive. And thank God Hillary Clinton didn't make it into office. We would have been in a world of hurt. This 2020 federal ID that they're trying to push and make mandatory. Our Constitution does not give our federal government permission to enforce this 2020 federal ID. That's going to take away our rights big time. And so I'll read these comments in 1 second. Thank you for your comments. If it's not broken, fix it. Thanks for being here, everyone that's here. So we have to know our Constitution. We have to know our Bill of Rights. We have to know our Declaration of Independence. You know, this is the foundations upon which this country was made and has made America great. You know, the big push while Trump was running for office, let's make America great again, you know, hoorah, you know. But we don't know what we need to know. The Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. And we need to understand it the way it was written, when it was written. You know, for example, most of us don't know, because we don't know, that our Constitution either gives the government permission to do, or the Constitution gives our government, does not give them permission to do. It's cut and dry. Therefore, many of our senators, many of our elected officials don't even know the Constitution. They don't want to know the Constitution because it limits them. It puts the brakes on them. It ties their hands. And they're not able to run amok like this gentleman here was speaking about in this video, which I used under the Fair Act information, the Fair Information Act. So we got to know these things. You know, our Constitution does not give our federal government permission to limit us in our travel, giving us IDs that make it mandatory that we can't travel if we don't have it. You know, all these things, and a chip in that ID where they can pull you out of a crowd. Take our weapons, take our not just weapons, but our self-protection. Take our means of hunting. You know, if you supply, maybe you hunt and that puts food on your table for your family. You know, it helps tie the loose ends with not having enough income. You know, it just, you hunt and it makes a difference for you, whatever it may be. You know, our country was built and founded on these foundations. And so many of us know very little about it. Our government knows it, you know, and they're out to take our guns. I just saw on Facebook that in New York, not only have they recently passed a law where babies can be aborted up to the 9-month term, that's murder. Should I say babies are allowed to be murdered up to 9 months now, properly put, in New York. And that New York, they are, just from what I heard, it's hearsay at this point, so I don't know how factual it is, but I heard something about something was passed. If it's true, if it is true, we need to find out. I need to find out. If they're able to go to people's homes and try to disarm them, try to take their self-protection, you know. If I don't have a gun, my neighbor has a gun. My neighbor's gun keeps me safe to a point. You know, how many people that just don't believe in it for whatever reason, but yet if you have a gun, you will go out of your way to protect your neighbor. You know, so to take our ability to defend ourselves, this is all wrong. So what's the deal here? Or should I say what's really going on? You know, when they're limiting our ammo, what's really going on? You know, we have a few wackos that pop up every now and then, but that's not the population. That's not you and I, you know. So they try to take an incident that's an isolated incident, and they try to use that as leverage to manipulate to pass their laws so that they can take guns away from people that wouldn't hurt a fly, you know. Just like this gentleman here that was speaking, he just has it for self-protection. Only reason. I would trust that guy. I don't even know him, and I trust him. Just because someone owns a gun, don't make them evil. Don't make them a freak. Don't make them a weirdo. You know. Do weirdos get a hold of them from time to time? Yep. Does somebody flip out once in a blue moon? Yep. Ever so often. But there's less people killed by guns than there are by cars. Why don't they try to take the cars away? You know, there's more deaths in cars than there are from guns, but they're not trying to take the cars. You know, let's put this on the clear playing field here, on a level playing field. This is all wrong. You know, like I said, I got a BB gun. But the point is we need to know our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, the people's rights, their God-given rights. We're born with these rights. No, they don't believe that the average American should not have any rights. Well, they want to try to turn us into a communist China. And that's where that's in the big picture. I believe animal farms should be required. Animal farms should be required regarding schools again. Yeah, they should be required. You bet. You know, armed guards. I thought Trump hit the nail on the head. You know, I was saying that. But, and actually there was some armed guards, if I remember right, at a school that actually made the difference after he passed that, I believe. But nonetheless, you know, we got to know the Constitution. Our law enforcement, they know that most people don't know the laws. And so they run amok. And you know, they try to play parent because they know the laws, and most of us don't really even know our regular laws. And so they manipulate you, they intimidate you. It's abuse of power, abuse of authority. You know, it's they're supposed to be there to protect, you know. They used on the side of their car, it used to say protect and serve. Why did they take that off their cars? I remember growing up as a teenager, as a child, reading on the side of our police cars saying it said protect and serve, and it was written in this radius. Protect and serve is no longer on our law enforcement's vehicles. Why? That's kind of scary. And then because we don't know the laws like we should, just our everyday laws, they use that against us. And here on YouTube, there are quite a few guys I've seen, you know, here and there where they're going, no, the law says you can't do this to me. And they back up because they realize that this guy knows what he's talking about. And they back up and leave this guy alone, or they don't abuse their power or authority because that person knew the law. And they would say, you know, section, penal code, section, blah, blah, blah. And then they would tell them what it meant. But more of us need to do that. More of us need to take the time just to know our common everyday laws, our rights. and even more so our Bill of Rights, our Constitution, Declaration of Independence. We spend how much time on TV? We spend how much time on YouTube? How much time do we spend reading and studying the Constitution? How much time do we spend reading and studying the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence? And, when the Constitution was written, Animal Farm is a book. It was written in the 50s and 60s. It's about communism. It's a good book. Okay, I knew there was something I was missing. Thank you for filling in the blank. Okay, that was something I'm not familiar with. I need to get a hold of that book. I need to Google it. Amazon or something. Okay. So, yeah, there's quite a few books, but the major books. Okay, let me reread that. The Animal Farm is a book. It was written in the 50s or 60s. It's about communism, and it's a good book. Okay, so it talks about, I'm assuming, how communism works, how they infiltrated the country, and how they manipulated the people, dumbed down the people. I can only assume that's what it refers to, and disarming the people. I can only assume that based on what you just mentioned, which you didn't say any of that. I'm saying it. But I have to assume that's what it refers to. I had a friend that just died of cancer about a year, 2 or 3 ago. He knew the Constitution. He was studying it. He knew the Bill of Rights. And he could hold his ground on any level, whether it was political, local government, because he knew these things. Yes, but with farm animals. Oh, using farm animals as examples in representing people or groups of people, I would have to assume. So anyways, knowing this is a big deal, now the Constitution, the way it's worded, they use wording that we're not accustomed to today, and we have to really get in there and dissect it, unfortunately, because our wording is changing, our English, our grammar is changing, and it's not the same as it was back when the Constitution is written, kind of like the King James Bible. People say, oh, the King James Bible is so hard to read and understand. No, not really. But you do have to understand how things were written. And, sometimes, for example, the King James Bible may sound like it's saying something, but it's actually referring quite the opposite at times, depending on what's being said and how they're using what they're saying, the parts of speech. But anyways, our Constitution is kind of similar to that in many ways. So it's knowing this, it's knowing that little bit of information can make a big difference when reading the Constitution. And understanding the context of the words that they're using and how they were being used in that document that was written. And, like I was saying, most people don't know that the Constitution either gives the government permission to do, or it simply does not give them permission to do. And you really got to get in and slowly look at the words, look at how they're being used, look at the context in which the words are being used in. Just grammar, basic grammar principles here. But you got to be willing to study and do the research. Like I say, we, the people of America, spend how much time in front of the TV? How much time do we spend doing things of pleasure that we enjoy? While we're busy out at the lake and doing our four-wheeling and being here on YouTube, our government and those in power are fervently working against us to change things, to manipulate and control us while we're asleep at the wheel. We're working night and day just to keep a house, a roof over our head, I mean, you buy a house, and if you own it outright, why do I have to pay my local government, my local city, taxes on my property that I own? I own my house. I paid for my house. Bought and paid for. Yet they tax my property. They got their claws in my property. And they can come along and steal my property and my home out from underneath me that I sweated and worked hard to pay for. For the few of us that have paid things off and you owe it outright. How is that? This is criminal. Yet they've passed laws where they can steal your property if you don't pay to keep it. What's the difference between this and the taxation that England was doing back in the 1800s? The taxes, they would tax the poor people. I don't see much difference. Got to go to bed in 5 hours. Well, brother, thanks for being here. I really like your channel. And I can't wait to get out of California and get back to the South. I was saved in Memphis, Tennessee. I lived in Mississippi. But anyways, I'm here in California, and I can't wait to get back. I am homesick. Let me tell you, next to heaven, I'm homesick. But anyways, thank you for being here. If it's not broke, fix it. Keep up the good work, bro. Keep the faith, and we'll catch you on the rebound. And have a good night, and God bless. We'll see you here, there, or in the air, as we say back in the South. All right, bye for now, bro. Okay, we got 2 in the chat. I'm not sure who else is here. No one else is commenting. Indiana is a fine place. I'll keep that in mind, brother. I'm kind of looking, Georgia maybe. Arkansas maybe. Mississippi, I don't know, maybe. Indiana, maybe, I got you. All right, thank you, bro, for being here. Got to get back to basics. But, with knowing the Constitution, knowing the Bill of Rights, and holding our government accountable to it, it's what gives them their freedoms that they enjoy. It's what gives them the position to be in office and to do what they do. But to abuse it, they know they're doing wrong. No different than a thief stealing. The thief knows he's doing wrong. You go ask somebody that's in jail or prison if they know that they did wrong. They're going to look at you and walk away from you. That is just so ludicrous and so stupid question. Our politicians, our government officials that are doing wrong, they know they're doing wrong. What a lot of Americans don't know is Trump became a Christian while he was running for office. Mike Pence has been a Christian for years and years and years and years. Our vice president. And these men are making a difference today. And when Trump leaves office, if he gets a second term, that's God's grace on us in this country. So we've got a small window to turn things around by the grace of God, but we got to be active. We got to be vigilant. I was talking to a guy I know, grew up with him. And when Obama was in office, he was on Facebook talking about things he disagreed with and didn't like and was making his voice heard and using his freedom of speech, his God-given rights, and exercising those rights. He had FBI come to visit him. Yeah. True story. While Obama was in office. What's that tell you? If Hillary would have made it, we would have been in deep, deep doo-doo, man. We would have been up to here, Thank God she didn't make it. but I believe we have a window to turn things around. It blows me away, this 2020 Federal ID Act that they're trying to push. My and April's Vlog, thanks for being here. You're new to the channel. I hope you find this of interest and of value, and I look forward to hearing from you and getting to know you and your content as well. United we stand, and united we make it happen here on YouTube. And so my and April's Vlogs, thanks for being here. And I'm Ken. So yeah, we gotta hold the government accountable. We gotta know the Constitution to do that. We gotta know our Bill of Rights to do that. We gotta know. There's a commercial I just seen here on YouTube where it's talking about where the government's using big business. And welcome to my new friend. I'll see your channel and after this live stream and pay you a visit. Supporting is important, and so I'll check you out. So this is every Thursday night at 7:30. I'm running late tonight. I realize you don't know that, but it's Insane Friends. Are you a part of the Insane Friends group, or did you just happen to see this? My and April Vlogs. But if you're not familiar with the Insane Friends group, this is what I'm a part of. And there's many different channels, everybody talking about different topics. Sometimes it's cars and different things. I have something else I'm going to talk about, a gas cap. And one I just purchased recently, it was designed to fail. Gas cap designed to fail smog, which I'll show here in a minute. But I can't stress it enough. I was attending regularly a Constitution class. It was free here in California, here in the San Bernardino area and Riverside area. And it was free. And there are a few around. And knowing the Constitution, I can't stress it enough. Why did they take it out of our school system? They don't want us to know. Why do they stop teaching our children how to do cursive? Handwriting. They're dumbing down our children. They're dumbing down our society. I bet you the politicians' children going to private schools, I bet you they're learning how to do cursive. What do you bet? What do you bet? Every single politician's child knows how to do cursive. Yet, they're taking it out of our school system. So our children, if you don't teach them at home, and see, if your child doesn't know how to write cursive, he can't or she can't read cursive, which means you can't read the Constitution, at least in the original. All these documents that are in cursive, and you won't be able to read the handwriting because you can't write it. You can't read it. Might as well be looking at French or Greek or Chinese or something, right? And so our children knowing how to read cursive and write cursive is so important. That's foundational too, because it connects back to original documents that are all in handwriting, that are all cursively written. And they just want to dumb us down. As an adult, if I can write cursive and you can't, you're looking at Greek, man. It's an unknown language you're looking at on paper. So our children need to know it. And if your child doesn't know how to read it, when your child becomes an adult and has children, he won't be able or she won't be able to teach their children how to write it either. And we're going to have an entire generation in the next 3 generations. Very few will be writing in cursive. Very few will be able to read cursive. We got to take due diligence and start teaching our children how to write in cursive and read it. Take it upon ourselves to do so. And I can't stress that enough. Knowing cursive writing, knowing how to write cursively is so important. Our children need to know it, or else it's only going to be those in office, and their children will be the only ones reading and writing in cursive. And it's like speaking a foreign language. It's Greek. It's just something you're not understanding. So we need to know how to read and write cursive. Our children need to know how to read and write cursive. And then I was talking with the guy who was saying that they're teaching their children to do math, but you just get a rounded number. You just get close to it. You just get a close, to knowing the answer. It's good enough. No. If my pizza is $3.59, I need to be able to count out $10.59. Not close to it, $10.50 or 60 cents. 60 cents is close enough. No, we need to know. Your children need to know exactly what it is. 3 and 3 is not 7. 3 and 3 is not 5. 3 and 3 is 6, and they need to know it's exactly 6, not close. Or 5 and 3/4. No, our children need to know that. But they're teaching our children just to get around the number, just close to it is good enough. And I mean, today, presently, Dorito and Luce, thanks for being here. One of these days, I'm going to pronounce your name right. You're going to celebrate. So am I. But my April and Vogue, thank you. Don't be a stranger, and I'll be paying you a visit. So God bless. Bye for now. We'll catch you on the rebound. So our children, they need to know how to write cursive. Our children need to know math and the exact number. Not close enough is good enough. It's not good enough. Just passing through to say, what's up? Well, thank you, bro. Hey, you're in Riverside. Maybe one of these days we can do a collab, Maybe we could meet halfway or something, I'm up here in Victorville. Do a hangout or something. Let me know if you're interested in doing that one of these days. And, it'd be fun. I have a Buell, a 1996 Harley Buell, but I need an oil tank for it. And anyways, it's not running. But that bike's a lot of fun. But it hasn't. I got to get it going. Yeah, I'll have to do a picture of it. Do a post of a picture of it here on YouTube. It's not running right now, but I'm bummed because I missed my bike. But anyways, all right, bro. We'll have to. If you're interested, we can get together and do a collab. A hangout or something. Meet up somewhere. It'd be fun. All right, thanks for dropping in. Have a good night. We'll catch you on the rebound, bro. And then if we meet, you could tell me how to pronounce your name. Not funny. That's kind of like, 3 and 3 is like, 5 and 3/4. Close is good enough. No, close is not good enough. Saying your name properly is important. And that's important to me. So, all right. Good night, bro. Thanks for your time, for showing support. Thank you. All right. Hey, Will, how's it going? Glad to see you in here. And so anyways, this gas cap I got, I'm going to show you this gas cap. I was not passing smog. It was saying, and my light kept coming on, and it was saying it was evap. And then it was saying something to do with the pressure and gas and, So I buy this, and I'm noticing that first thing I noticed was this rubber seal here was really spongy. When I press in on it, it was spongy. And I'm going, the seal's too spongy. So it's not sealing properly. I kept going, I need to make the seal, get it to be firm. Give it some firmness. So I'm going, well, if I can get something back behind the seal, it will become more resistant, make it a little bit thicker. And so when I screw this in, it will seal it up, make it tight. Because the seal, I'm pushing in on the seal. You see this little ring right here? I was pushing in on the seal, and it's just, if I can get this held just right with one hand, it's kind of hard. But I push in on the seal, and it's super, super spongy, okay? So I took some plastic, and I spun it. You know, I made like a rope, and then I put it behind it. And I noticed when I took my gas cap off last night to put some gas in the car, I actually heard the air go whoosh, you know, because it had pressure behind it. I'm like, oh, good. But I noticed that the seal, once I took it off, that this plastic I put in here, you know, I kind of made it like a cord. I wrapped it up, and I'm taking it out now. Okay, so I wrapped this up. It's plastic. It's a bag. And I twisted it all up, and I stuck it back behind the seal here, all right? That gray seal you're looking at. And today my light came back on, my service light. I went, no way. But last night when I heard the pressure release and I opened up this cap, I'm going, that's what it should be. You should hear, whoosh, you know? So I'm just concerned about it not sealing back up properly. And this morning when I took off in the car, I noticed that my light came back on. I'm like, oh, dog. So I'm going to show you what I discovered. I'm going to get this up. I'm pulling this up here with one hand so you can be seen. This was designed to fail, by the way. And I'm going to show you. All right. I've taken it off. All right. You see, it's not in the cap. It's in my hand. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you what the deal is. Okay. Okay. Now, look at this. What do you notice? What do you notice? See that groove? This groove should not be there. They've weakened the seal so it will not seal. I spent $10 for this. And this is a factory. This is done by the factory. Okay? I'm gonna spread this apart here so you can see it. Look at this. It's completely cut. This should not be cut. I should not be able to do this. Okay? So beware. Okay, well now you can see it. Look at this. This should not be that way. Okay? This was designed to fail. You cannot trust the gas cap companies. Now, I went to Napa, and I got this Napa brand. Okay? It's on the car now. And you can, I don't know how well you can see it in this light, but this is a brand new cap. Look at that. You still got the shine on the plastic, all right? This shouldn't have no slice in it, but I knew when I felt it, it was just too spongy, you know? It was just too easy to compress. There should have been more resistance to it. And that was the first thing I noticed after I cleared it. I have a reader, and I cleared the lights, and I put this on, and it came right back on. Then I got an MLI reading, and anyways, it was because of this. So when you go to buy a gas cap, make sure it's not split down the middle. This is a setup to fail. And I think it was a Star brand or something. It had blue on the box. I don't remember that. I think it's Star Stanza or something brand. I don't know what to say. I forget exactly what it's called. I didn't pay much attention to the brand name when I bought it. I expected it to be. I've never seen this before, ever. I've never seen that. Okay. So, like I said, I went to not AutoZone. I got this from O'Reilly's. I went to Napa in hopes that they would have a better quality, and they did. And this is the Napa brand right here. All right. And it doesn't, let's see, what's the brand? It's just a Napa brand. See on the box, Napa. So keep your eye out, everybody, for that on your gas cap. What a bunch of thieves. So buyer beware when it comes to buying your gas caps. So I hope that this video we saw, if you haven't seen the video, you can do a replay of this guy speaking to, I don't know if it was the House of Representatives, if it was the Senate. I'm not sure what branch of government he was speaking to. This was a post that I was sent to me, and under the Fair Use Act for educational purposes, I showed it, and it's going around Messenger and Facebook. So if you haven't seen it yet, hopefully you'll be able to get a hold of this yourself and send it out and make it known. I hope they change this. And this 2020 federal ID, I'm praying, and I've tried to call I've called the White House, and before you could speak to your representative there, or speak to, not your representative, but I was trying to get a hold of the the Republican Party. I was able to do that, about 10 years ago or so now. I tried to do that here last year. And when I found out about this 2020 federal ID that they passed in 2005 behind the scenes, and none of us everyday people knew it. And then they drop it. It's like a landmine. They're dropping on our heads, right before. But it's a violation of our Constitution. Our Constitution does not give them permission to put this Federal ID Act in place. It does not give them the right or the permission to do it, because it takes our rights. It takes our freedoms that the Constitution affords us, that the Constitution gives us, And so we need to bring this to their attention. Call your governor, call your senator. If you're able, got connections to Trump, bring it to Trump's attention. Please, this 2020 Federal ID Act is going to take our rights like no other. And it's the beginning of what's worse. It's what's coming behind that. And united we stand, we the people. And united we make it happen. Not just on YouTube, but the world, America. Let's make America great. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence has made America great. Let's keep it. And let's keep it that way. So let's stand, let's make them accountable. They're servants of the people, or they're supposed to be. Big business shouldn't manipulate and control. It shouldn't be the deep pockets that are controlling. We pay taxes every year. What happens if everybody decided they weren't going to pay taxes? That's a concept. I think it might but everybody would have to do it. But that might be a scary thought. What if everybody just decided I'm sick and tired, and everybody united and didn't pay their taxes? We would have some serious government reform. And like this video going around, this commercial going around on YouTube about bringing the people together and stopping all this from going on and getting some things changed, that's the ticket. So more and more people are we're uniting, you know. That's a major need here in America. Or we will be like communist China in another, what, 30 years, 40 years? You know, New York has now passed a law that they can murder a child up to 9 months old. Wait a minute. Say what? Murder a child up to 9 months old? This is unthinkable. What a travesty. Have we degenerated? Have we become so selfish and self-centered? What if you were murdered at 9 months old? Whew. We put men in prison for murder, yet we can murder a 9-month-old baby and it's okay? Because, oh, it's not convenient. Oh, it's going to interfere with my lifestyle. It's going to interfere with my career. Oh, for a woman, that man over there, I thought he loved me and he's cheating on me and I don't want this baby now. She can, and it's okay. It's not okay. And let me tell you something I know personally, because I saw my mom suffer. She she had an abortion, murdered a child. And every year of the birth date of that child, of her abortion, my mom would be grieving under some heavy guilt and shame. Every year of that child's death, because she knew that child would have been 3, that child would have been 5, that child would have been 8. And she grieved every year. And then it became a silent grieving. I just happened to see her one day full of tears and very concerned for my mom, and I was a teenager. And so I very seriously was inquiring, because that's my mom. What's going on? And she shared this with me, or I would have never known. And my mom represents thousands, millions of women that suffer silently with their guilt and shame over abortions, because they know it's murder. I remember as a teenager trying to tell this older friend of mine, oh, abortion, the baby's not born. Yeah, they don't. I was talking gobbledygook. I was just trying to help her, not feel so bad. And she's telling me, no, Ken, no. And I was really trying to convince her that trying to help her to feel better was my purpose as a teenager. And she knew in her heart, you couldn't tell her different. That was another woman. And I've spoken to others. It's a silent shame and guilt and pain. And I have to stop and think, at 9 months, how much more painful and how much more agony is it going to be to live with, knowing that you killed the child full term? How the greater, it's going to be a greater impact. It's bad enough as it is. Ask these guys that have been to war. Ask these Vietnam veterans. Ask where they murdered children because they had no choice, because they had a bomb on their back. Ask those guys. They won't talk to you about it. They won't talk to you about that. It's a silent guilt, shame, pain. I can't even imagine how horrific that must be to carry, knowing. So for New York, everyone needs to call New York. I don't care where you live. You could live in China. I don't care where you live, and China's have done their own things in that way too. But that's the government doing it. But the point is I don't care where you live. Call New York's governor. Call their elected officials, and you let them know this is not acceptable. It's murder, and they need to overturn this decision. They need to repent. They need to withdraw this decision, this bill. I don't believe we've become so animalistic that we can do that. I don't believe we're an animalistic country. This bill should not be passed. It should not be allowed to continue. And I think we, the people, we can be calling no matter where you live. Because how long before it's in your state? And your state, and your state, and your state, and your state, and your state. How long before it's in every state in the United States? We got it. This needs to be abolished. It needs to be removed ASAP. So I look forward to hearing from you. Don't be shy. Don't be a stranger. I look forward to hearing from you. And we need to make our voices heard. We need to write Trump. We need to, if you can get a hold of Trump, you have connections or friends, Trump needs to be 2020 federal ID. I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of issues that need to be overturned. They took prayer out of school by a handful of people. Little by little, they're stripping our rights away. We need time to wake up, America. United we stand, and united we make it happen. So, let's call our officials, call the White House, call the officials of New York. No matter where you are, I don't care what country you're in, you could be in Australia, please call New York and let them know that you do not agree with what's going on in this country. Let them know. All right, time to wake up, America, the world. Bye for now. God bless. Take care. Never give up, because there's always a way. Always. And bye for now. I look forward to hearing from you. Subscribe, share, comment, put in the playlist, like, and speak to your federal official, government official, local official, and let them know. Your governors, let them know where you stand and how it's a violation of our rights, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our Declaration of Independence, and just simple human rights. All right, bye for now, and God bless. And have a great week. Bye for now. Bye.